Let us welcome the sixth speaker. The sixth speaker is Ms Mei Tawada.
Her speech title is, What If I Tell You? What If I Tell You? So, Ms Tawada, please come up to the stage.
Thank you, the Masters of Ceremonies and Honorable Judges. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. What if I tell you that you can change the world? I used to think that this was a platitude. When I was 6, I was walking in the streets of Bangkok, Thailand with my grandma. There, I encountered a legless man lying on the street with a small bowl beside him. He was begging for money. Although I was a kid, I knew he was seeking help from the bottom of his heart. However, as I tried to give him money, my grandma suddenly pulled me away and didn't allow me to interact with him. Soon, I found out she did that because most beggars in Thailand were run by the mafia. Even though people gave them money, it was exploited by people controlling them. So they were not getting the money anyway. When I knew that, I felt so heartbroken because I couldn't even save the man lying in front of me. Simultaneously, I was confused because what I thought was the best thing wasn't actually a good solution. My shocking experience in childhood tortured me with a sense of helplessness, and I kept assuming that there was nothing I could do to change the world into a better place. However, my thoughts of despair shed into lights of hope as I came to realize that they actually had the potential to help. Last year, I took part in a Sustainable International Forum in Tokyo, where I had a chance to hear many lectures from numerous companies about their policies designed to work towards world peace. One interesting lecture from the forum was about clothing donations. You may think donating clothes is a good thing, as you see many donation boxes and advertisements in Japan. However, what the man in the lecture told me was significantly different from what we're likely to think. He told me that these donations can be harmful. So, what happens to the clothes we donate? Today, most of our old clothes are sent to developing countries, especially in Africa. According to an article from Business Insider, it is estimated that the Contamanto market in Ghana handles more than 15 million garments every week, and many started out as donations from developed countries. These enormous amounts of clothes are sold at extremely low prices. As a result, about 80% of people in Ghana engaging in the textile industry have lost their jobs in the last 30 years. On top of that, due to the overwhelming supply, more than a third of the garments end up as waste, which is thrown away in landfills or oceans. It was devastating for me to see the footage of Ghana's capital city drowning with other people's used clothes. A massive pile of garbage and the rising unemployment rate in Ghana? We played a huge role in these issues. how can we keep from being part of such a tragedy? Now, let me suggest 3 steps in order to look at the world from a new perspective. The first step is to understand what is really happening in the world. Sometimes, even with good intentions, our actions can harm others if we're not aware of the reality. This is because we tend to oversimplify and overlook the core part of the problem. For example, our food might have been produced by child labor, or materials in our smartphones might have led the conflicts in Africa to accelerate. Still, if you are proactive instead of ignorant, your actions can have a positive impact across the globe. As one approach, we can turn to the website Good On You, which provides details on fashion brands based on ethical criteria. The second step is to stay flexible and be open to changing stereotypes and mindsets. We tend to rely on information based on common sense or the way that the media portrays it. However, if you look up things that are the opposite of your idea, you can realize the one-sided nature of your opinions. So we must use our brains and continue thinking about the best way to foster a peaceful world. In relation to the problem of clothing donations, the third step I suggest is to change our consumption habits. For instance, in lieu of purchasing extremely cheap or excessive amounts of clothes, we should consider whether we genuinely need these clothes. Will I wear this in a year? Do I have something similar? Am I just following trends? If we think about these points, we may mitigate the illegal exploitation in developing countries or harmful impacts on the environment. With that being said, I now challenge you to pause for a moment. Reflect on your decisions and consider whether you are making a positive impact on the world. By doing so, I strongly believe that every one of us can make a change. So now, what if I tell you that you can change the world? I hope one day, when I grow up and take my child to Bangkok, I will be able to show them a place with no beggars. And the man I met in the street will be able to pursue his own happiness and lead a pleasant life, just like we do here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Tawada. Now we have a question and answer session. Mr. Kubota, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Mei-san.
Thank you.
So, donation sounds like a good thing, but your speech told us that there could be some kind of demerits behind the scenes, right?
Yes.
So, then, if so, how could we, support the developing countries? What would be the ideal way of supporting them?
Thank you for the question. And finding an ideal way to support developing countries is really difficult because the world's problem is often complex than we imagine. But I would say that one way is to, at first, learn and know about the actual voices of people who live in developing countries. Thanks to the dissemination of the information of internet, people can easily speak up via social media, and people who live in developing countries can easily speak up what they really want. So I guess the first step is know about it, and the second step would be aiding like money or things that are really necessary for people who live in developing countries. Not just like deciding things to donate just by our stereotypes and biased way of thinking.
Okay, so my next question is going to be about the clothing donations you introduced. So, because of the clothing donations, the people in Ghana are suffering, right? Mm-hmm. So, you suggest us to change our consumption habits. So, think about like the brands like Uniqlo or Shein or GU or something like that. They produce the products in Vietnam or some kind of other countries, right? And there might be some kind of problem, but the reality is that they offer jobs for local people. But thinking about the supply chain, if we consumers to stop buying the Uniqlo products by changing our consumption habits, there would be no salary paid to the people who produce the products. Maybe you could solve the problem in Ghana, but then there's going to be another new problem in Vietnam, some kind of countries. So how could we take this balance? What should we do?
I don't mean that buying clothes from Uniqlo or Shein is a really bad thing, but I think the problem is that people tend to follow trends too much, and once the trends change, they tend to buy every time the trends change, and that is increasing the demand in developed countries. And it may sound a good thing, but actually people who live in developing countries, workloads will automatically increase by people who follow trends. So instead of like buying or following too much trends, I think we should buy what we really need and what we genuinely need, even if it's from Uniqlo or Shein. Yes.
Well, okay, so time's come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kubota and Ms. Tawada. Please go back to your seat.